Ipswich showed plenty of character, as they have done time and again this season, but that hammer blow of a 7-0 defeat last week, well, that could have done so much harm to their confidence. We will see probably early on here whether they can show the mettle to respond to it. As I said, 3-0 down they were at Bristol City inside 14 minutes, 4-0 down by the break. They were unable to stem that flow of goals in the second half either. Leah Mitchell gets us off and underway at the Job Serve Community Stadium. Amy Everett with an early throw for Palace. It's headed on by Beth Rowe, who joined Ipswich in the summer, formerly of Charlton. Not a million miles away from Crystal Palace in the south of London. Crystal Palace, of course, play their home games now, though, in Sutton, a bit further to the west. Veerden loses possession for Palace. Rihanna Dean tussles it out of play. It'll be an Ipswich throw. Rihanna Dean is Ipswich's top scorer with 3 in the league this season. She was with Palace in 2022-23. Didn't get much game time as she was still recovering from a long-term injury. Picks up at her previous club, Liverpool, before she joined Palace. Everett back to Swaby, the Jamaica international who scored the winner when these teams did meet in the League Cup in that group match a month ago. Came off the bench in that game, scrambled home a late winner. After Kirsty Howart's shots hit the post. Swaby again. Low ball to Blanchard. Blanchard skims it through the middle, and Negri, who was also a Palace player during their promotion season of 2023-2024. She will be hoping for another England under-23 call-up this week with Natalia Negri when the squad's named on Wednesday. For matches against Norway and the USA at the end of the month. Emma Coates' side, 2 home games. First at Manchester City's Joy Stadium, the second in Accrington. She did play, did Natalia Negri, against Germany in October. She said she was very emotional that day, her first England appearance for 2 years. She's played at other age group levels previously, been in plenty of squads, but she was back in the starting 11. Blanchard for Palace rolls it back to Swaby. It's out to the left. Nolan was asking a lot of Veerden. There was a lot of pace on that pass, but Veerden kept it in. Ipswich won it back, though. Thomas scampers across to try and get on the end of this one, and she does get there first. Claims the throw, but it's gone Palace's way. Natasha Thomas, a Jamaica teammate of Swaby, who's on the ball now. Swaby carrying out of the heart of defence, but gives it away. Pescott got the block in. Dean. It comes off of Cato as Dean is knocked to the floor, and it will be an Ipswich free kick on the edge of the centre circle. Tenacious play from Rihanna Dean here, and she was just caught as Blanchard came through. Rihanna Dean joining this summer after 2 years with Southampton. Got 9 goals in 18 games across those 2 seasons with the Saints, did Rihanna Dean. It started pretty well for her on an individual basis with Ipswich. 3 goals so far in the league. Not a bad return for a struggling side. Blanchard. Short ball to Swaby. Swaby goes long to the left once more. Veerden tries to get there, but it will be Grace Neville, New Zealand international and former London City Lionesses player, Grace Neville. Dean wins town of throw. Which Neville will take. Jenna Deere, another summer signing from Sunderland. Knocks it over the top. Thomas gives chase, but Swaby gets there and knocks it back to Shea Yanez. Now in her second season is Yanez, the Palace keeper, with Palace having signed ahead of the top-tier season last summer before this one just gone. Negri just gets it away in time. Blanchard back to Swaby. Inside to Blanchard. Sizes up her options. Plays it short to Kato, the Swedish player. And now it's Mitchell all the way back to Negri. Punts it towards the centre circle. Palace win it back straight away via the head of Hopcroft and fires Blanchard. Blanchard to Veerden. Veerden charging forward and wins the side. An early corner. Ashley Veerden. She's already on that left flank, as we suspected. Causes so much trouble for opponents from that position. Does Ashley Veerden. Also now in her second season with Crystal Palace. Made quite an impact in the top flight last time round. Ipswich have really struggled defending set pieces. They conceded at almost this point of the game last week against Bristol City. Swung in, headed away. Palace win it straight back through Nolan. Hopcroft has won the throw. Came off Pescott. Well, that might just do Ipswich a bit of confidence. Surviving that corner. Nolan with the throw, though. They haven't yet thwarted Palace in this attacking spell. Low cross comes in and it's gathered well, held well by Negri. Back with Negri once more. It's gone straight out of play though for a Palace throw. Everett takes it. It's back with Swaby. Joe Potter arrives at Crystal Palace this summer after a couple of years with Rangers in Scotland. Former England international, of course, the Palace manager. So much experience in her playing days as well. It's been a really tough start for her at Palace. Natalia Negri, the Ipswich keeper, will expect to be tested at some point today. I mean, Crystal Palace's dominance last week, 63% of possession they had at home against Sheffield United. They had 21 shots to United's 4, 6 on target to United's 2, but they lost 2-1. Such a frustrating afternoon for Palace, their fans, and for Joe Potter. Final ball and the finishing so often letting them down last week. It's Ipswich on the charge here with Deer. Deer tries to feed it back through, but she was losing her balance and it goes all the way through to Yanez. Former Bristol City goalkeeper too. That's where she got her first taste of WSL top flight action. The American. Swaby to Everett. Hughes couldn't bring it under control. The Wales international forward, the Palace number 9. It'll be a Palace free kick because Blanchard's caught by Dean. And Amy Fern just has a quick word with Rihanna Dean. Dean returning the favour, having earlier been caught herself. Hopcroft takes the free kick, rolls it back to Swaby. Swaby edges towards the halfway line. Rolls it across to Nolan, the Republic of Ireland international, who's in their squad for October's 2 fixtures. Yanez hoofs it all the way through to Negri. tries to find a header Thomas, but Palace win it back straight away. Thomas on the ball now though for Ipswich. Dear. Nine of Palace's starting 11 were playing top flight football last season. Negri's under a bit of pressure here. She just about survives. Just about got away with that one, did Natalia Negri. Palace have a throw. In fact, it's gone Ipswich's way, and it'll be Hughes to take it. Hopcroft with the header for Palace. Thomas tries to bring it under control, but Everett, strong in the tackle, wins it back, and it is the Palace captain Everett on the ball now. She's got Hughes in the middle. Vital touch to take it away from the path of Hughes. And out for a Palace throw. 10 minutes gone, and Palace just beginning to up the tempo here. Napier. Former Chelsea youngster, Jamie Lee Napier. It's pinged over the top. Negri's alert to it and gets there first. She's spoken, Natalia Negri, of her ambitions to one day play for the England senior team. Goalkeeper with plenty of confidence is Natalia Negri. Loose touch there from Boswell, but she got to the loose ball and managed to find Deer. Mitchell. Mitchell did really well there, and Ipswich have held on to it. Thomas was never going to get to that one. Yanez with the clearance, straight out of play for an Ipswich throw, which Neville will take. 25 years old now, Grace Neville. Consistent performer when she was with London City Lionesses, and brought this summer to Ipswich to bring her level of experience with her. Ipswich, of course, coming up from the Women's National League Southern Premier as champions at the end of last season. Sinead Hopcroft, a long-term servant of Palace, was just in shot there. The number 24 has just lobbed that one over the top. And as she sparks a Palace attack here, it's come through to Napier, who's got a little bit of space to take on Hughes. Still Napier, she drives forward. Hughes does well to get back and force her away from goal, but Napier still manages to get the cross in. Blanchard can't get on the end of it though, and it's half cleared. Palace win it straight back though. Everett. Blanchard with the through ball, too much pace on it. She's one of the very best in the division, Annabelle Blanchard, at playing that sort of through ball, but that time she didn't quite weight it correctly. She so often does, to devastating effect. Annabelle Blanchard, particularly when she's in a central position. Well, this time a week ago, Ipswich were just about to go 3-0 down away at Bristol City at this moment of the game. So certainly going much better for them this afternoon. Only kept one clean sheet this season. That was a very impressive one, though, away to Charlton, who are doing ever so well, with a goalless draw on match day 3. Thomas. Now it's with Rowe, who's under pressure from Hopcroft, who gave her a little shove. Amy Thurn didn't spot that. Ipswich still have the ball, though. Boswell lays it off to Mitchell. Mitchell strides forward and lays one through the middle towards Dean, and Dean does get there, keeps it in, plays it back. It's pinged goalwards, and Yanez doesn't hold on to it. Thomas almost gets there. Blanchard tries to scramble it away, but Palace just can't clear their lines. Well, nervy moments for the visitors. Well, that will give the home fans heart. Yanez unable to gather it. Swaby did really well to get there first. Pescott then came flying in, but Palace had bodies back. Swaby's down. Well, she showed real heart and endeavour and bravery to throw herself in the way of the ball and any ensuing players. There's Joe Potter, the Palace manager. And Mikaso, the Swedish midfielder, just having a drink of water as the medical staff tend to Swaby. Joined Palace, she did in January. Alison Swaby from AC Milan. Ipswich players taking the opportunity too for a drinks break as Joe Sheehan's staff pass on the instructions. Alison Swaby had the honour of scoring the first winning goal for a Jamaica women's team at the last World Cup in that match when they beat Panama. Did so well, didn't they, Jamaica, to come through a group that had Brazil in it and France and get themselves into the knockout stages. Joe Sheehan with the baseball cap talking to Natasha Thomas, Rihanna Dean. Natasha Thomas, long-time servant of Ipswich, their all-time leading appearance maker and goal scorer. Rihanna Dean, new to the town, as I mentioned, joining just this summer. So they have vastly different experience in Ipswich terms. Well, Dean has the greater experience at this level. And Veerden is in a bit of pain as she hobbles off. But in the early weeks of the season, Joe Sheehan's side seemed to improve each week. They had that difficult 4-0 defeat against Southampton, then 1-0 at home to Forest. Then they got that draw with Charlton before the 3-2 win here against Portsmouth. But in the 4 games since, they seem to have been getting worse each week almost. Their performances, the results. They've let in 15 in the last 3 games. The 7 last week and 2 4s before that, as the play resumes with a drop ball to Megan Waring. They've got to stem that tide of goals conceded. They've started well here defensively, have Ipswich, but they've given it away there. Veerden to Howard, very much the danger woman. She did score a howitzer last week, did Howard, in that 2-1 defeat to Sheffield United. A long-range effort into the bottom corner from Howard. Everett back to Yanez. Deer gets a foot on it, but could do a little more than that, and Yanez comes across to clear it, but Deer picks it up again for Ipswich. Can't keep it in play though, and it's a Palace throw. Nolan to take the throw. Headed straight back out of play for another Palace throw. Veerden along with the throw. Hughes holds onto it under pressure from Mitchell and tees it back to Veerden, but Ipswich have it back in their possession. Dean tries to turn. Nolan wins it back for Palace, and now it's with Hughes. Back to Nolan. She goes all the way back to Yanez. Out of play for an Ipswich throw. Palace down to 10 men momentarily as Alison Swaby, it appears, not able to carry on. Unfortunate for Palace to lose a player of such importance and experience so early on. And on comes Justine van Havermaet, player with so much experience herself. Joined Palace this summer after 2 years with Everton, 2 years at Reading prior to that. So after 4 years in the top flight of English football, the Belgian international is now with Palace in Tier 2. And she is a early enforced change for Joe Potter, coming on for the injured Alison Swaby. And she's on the ball here, carries it forward with confidence, feeds it out to Veerden, pokes it through to Kato, who wins a Palace free kick, much to the displeasure of the home fans. We're not happy with that decision to penalise Grace Neville. Palace crowd the edge of the D. Hopcroft and Veerden between them discussing their options. It's Veerden with their left foot in towards the penalty area, and it's knocked wide by Hughes, who almost turns apologetically to her teammates. It was a pretty decent opportunity. Veerden picked her out with the ball deep to the far side, but Hughes skewed her effort well wide. First Palace half chance of the afternoon. Veerden gets there and knocks it back to Van Havermaet, but she is dispossessed by Peskett. Real opportunity here for Sophie Peskett! Ipswich take the lead! Sophie Peskett, so cool and composed as the chance beckoned, and she just slotted it beyond Shea Yanez to put Town ahead midway through the opening half. And how they needed that tonic after last weekend's 7-0 defeat at Bristol City. They've taken the lead. Van Havermaet caught Divering, and Peskett surged through to roll home her first goal in WSL 2. And she last scored 203 days ago in the league, back in the Women's National League on that final day of last season when Ipswich beat Cheltenham 8-0, celebrated promotion. Sophie Peskett, another of those long-time servants of Ipswich, and what an afternoon, what a moment for her. Goals have been at a premium for Ipswich, points even more so. How important will that one prove to be? So long to go. And Palace looking for an instant response. Good defending by Boswell, out for a corner. Maria Boswell, still only 22. She too has been at Ipswich for many a season. It's hard to believe she's still only 22. Veerden with a corner for Crystal Palace. Ipswich need to keep a foothold on this lead. Need to make sure they don't surrender it instantaneously. Got to try and see this corner out. And it comes from Veerden. It's deep and it's hung up towards Hughes. And there's some pushing in the 6-yard box. And Ipswich do survive with a free kick. Well, even if Ipswich win today, it won't be enough to take them off the foot of the table, unless they were to win by 9 clear goals, because Crystal Palace's goal difference is so vastly superior. Ipswich kick off bottom, 3 points adrift. Palace. Peskett Oh, free kick's given. There was a foul on Blanchard in the centre circle. As we see it again here, that's a real tussle between Dean and Blanchard. That's 2 fouls by Dean on Blanchard and 1 the other way. And I think Dean was told after the last one, actually, that she was on her last chance. And the yellow card is showing. So Rhianna Dean into the book for a second late challenge on Annabelle Blanchard. She'll have to be careful now, will Rhianna Dean, because that's been a pretty feisty competition between her and Annabelle Blanchard, and she's walking a tightrope now. She can't continue to play the way she has been in this first 25 minutes. And that might just give Blanchard a little bit more room to operate. Amy Everett over on the sidelines, just being attended to. Long ball over the top, headed away. And Hughes is knocked to the turf and wins Palace a free kick. So in the as it stands table, Ipswich currently still bottom on 7 points with a goal difference of -18. Palace on 7 points with a goal difference of -3. Palace would love a victory this afternoon to put a bit of daylight between themselves and Ipswich Town, but they're going to have to come from behind if they're going to get anything here this afternoon. Eden again with the free kick. Van Havermaet climbs and it's volleyed over the bar in the end by Van Havermaet. Also won the initial header. And then when it came back to the Belgian, she swung rather hopefully at it. Couldn't keep the ball down. It's over the top. Hughes has it for Ipswich. Pescott is tripped by Napier, and she's going to go into the book as well, Jamie Lee Napier. It is really getting quite fiery out there. Well, no doubt about this one. Amy Fern left with no option, the referee, but to bring out the yellow card for that foul by Jamie Lee Napier. Leah Mitchell with the free kick, hung up towards the penalty spot, headed away by Everett, who's resumed. Play on, says the referee. I think it's Waring who's down on that far side for Ipswich. And she's clutching a midriff, it appears, but Amy Fern, the referee, opts to play on. Opportunity now though for Negri to kick it out of play, should she wish to. But it would appear that all is well with Megan Waring, who's now back in the heart of that defence. Winning the header there, in fact, but it goes straight to Cato of Palace. Ipswich win it back. Half an hour played almost. Ipswich with the slenderest of leads. Long way to go. Nolan back to Yanez. Pescott, the goal scorer, wins a free kick. She's caught in a sandwich between Carso and Hopcroft. Mitchell to take the Ipswich free kick. Mitchell lobs it over the top, it drops to Boswell. Up and under and well wide of the goal. Jenadier, summer signing from Sunderland. Started out as a young player at Chelsea. Did Jenadier, now 29 years old. Brings plenty of experience to this Ipswich side. Everett. Napier, fresh from going into the book. Oh, and it's a lovely ball through to Carso. Boswell's done really well to get back, but Carso lays it off to Hughes. Now with Veerden, gets the shot in, Boswell with the block. And Mitchell hacks it clear. Ipswich survive. And Palace probably feel they should have made more of that, just like last week, in fact. Not seizing on the opportunities that come their way. It was a lovely ball forward. Boswell did really well to get back on Carso, who actually responded in kind with a fine ball across. Hughes couldn't bring it under control, and then Veerden with the shots. Ball sinks out Veerden, but Neville gets the header clear for Ipswich, who now have a free kick for the foul on Mitchell. Elise Hughes with two half chances really this afternoon, has rather swung at both of them. Wales international, part of their squad at the Euros in the summer. She did score in the last international break, her fourth goal for Wales. Obviously great to see her back after such a long time out, with that injury sustained at the very end of the promotion season of 23-24, when her goals played such a part in lifting Palace up to the top flight. And then she missed so much of that WSL season last term because of the injury. Everett is playing with the Hannah Hampson look that we saw at the Euros. Pescott has won it back off Everett. Here is Pescott. Tries to knock it across the edge of the 6-yard box, but Everett got the challenge in. Everett having to play with something up her nose to stem the bleeding. There's Jamie Lee Napier. Napier will just roll this into the centre of the Palace half. It is now back with Everett. Van Havermaet, who'd only been on the field for a couple of minutes when Sophie Pescott struck. She was still kind of finding her bearings, Van Havermaet. She was rather caught divering, and Pescott on her shoulder won the ball and scampered through and finished really calmly. Here's Thomas, lays it off to the goal scorer Pescott. Pescott turns, but her attempted through ball is blocked by Hughes. Carto now for Palace. Carto back to Nolan. Once more with Van Havermaet. Everett inside to Van Havermaet. Van Havermaet goes long in search of Veerden, but Boswell gets with the header, and Neville will keep it in. finds Rowe. Rowe squeezes it beyond Blanchard, but it is now with Blanchard, who just can't quite keep it in for Palace, and it'll be a throw in for Ipswich. Mitchell with the throw, drops to Rowe. Thomas chests it back, but Hopcroft does really well. Strong challenge from Sinead Hopcroft, and she rolls it across to Napier. Napier back inside to Hopcroft, rides the challenge from Thomas, and is back with Van Havermaet. Van Havermaet to Blanchard. Blanchard short ball to Veerden, who did really well to just tuck it back to Blanchard. Boswell smashes it out for a Palace throw. 10 minutes until half time. Maria Boswell marshalling that Ipswich defence to great effect so far this afternoon. Neville's penalised here for the foul. And it's a dangerous position from which Palace will look to ping this one into the Ipswich penalty box. Blanchard and Veerden. Palace seek an equaliser. Blanchard it is with the in-swinger. It's flicked on by Van Havermaet, but then flicked off an Ipswich head and out for a Palace throw. Napier to take. Napier to Hughes. Hughes hooks it back towards a penalty spot when it almost drops into the... Well, the referee has blown a whistle and says it's a free kick to Ipswich. Megan Waring also celebrating another Scotland under-23 call-up this week. 20-year-old Ipswich defender. Dad plays the Ipswich drum. That might be the Ipswich drum we can hear in the background, although Palace do have a drummer here this afternoon as well. Veerden on the charge for Palace. Still Veerden, takes on Neville. Gets it low across the area and it's gone beyond Cato and too far advanced of Hughes at the far post. Once more, final ball not quite there. In fact, I don't think you can fault the final ball. It was zipped in with real menace from Ashley Veerden there. But neither Cato nor Hughes had quite moved in anticipation of it. Not the best clearance from Negri. Hughes has it for Palace, but she can't squeeze it through to Howard. Boswell wins it back for Ipswich. Mitchell given away to Blanchard. Boswell hooks a high one up. Deer on Veerden. Fair challenge, says the referee, but it will be a throw in. Veerden got the ball and then the player. Fair challenge, Amy Fern says the referee. Plays back underway. Can Thomas get on the end of this one? Well, she has done. But Everett's got back to snuff out any hints of a second Ipswich goal. They have a throw in the home side. Natasha Thomas never struggled for goals in Tier 3. She has already been on target once this season in the league, has Natasha Thomas. Pescott to Neville, who's got a bit of space to get the cross in. Tries to pick out Hughes. He couldn't get any direction on the header, and it's easily gathered by Shea Yanez. Lanchard back to Van Havermaet. I bet Ipswich can't wait for that half-time whistle to go. What it would mean to them if they could get in with a lead with a clean sheet preserved. This 5 minutes is going to feel like an eternity for them, and it's come off Boswell and behind for another Crystal Palace corner. Palace with 66% of possession but trailing. As I mentioned last week, they had a similar amount and lost to Sunderland. Amy Fern just making sure Pescott and Neville are the full 10 yards before this Palace corner can be taken. Hopcroft to swing it in towards the edge of that 6-yard box. It's headed down by Van Havermaet. But she too didn't quite get the angle right, and it's wide of the upright. Ipswich with 3 minutes plus added time to see out. There'll be a bit. We had that injury to Alison Swaby, which forced her off in the 20th minute. She was replaced by Van Havermaet, who just 2 minutes later was caught in possession by Pescott, who charged through to score the goal which separates the teams as things stand. Here's Mitchell for Thomas, for Town rather. Did well there to pick out Deere, and Deere's looped it over the top. It's gone out of play though. Well, but for that, as she kept it in, it was a lovely ball through to Thomas. But Jenna Deere hadn't quite managed to keep the ball in the bounds of play. So throw-in taken by Nolan. Neville with the double header drops to Veerden. She hooks one over the top for Hughes to give chase. Town clear the danger at least momentarily. Here's Rowe. Pescott gets there just ahead of Napier. Short ball to Hughes. Hughes all the way back to Negri. Hopcroft. All is coming together between Megan Waring and Cato. It's gone the decision in the favour of Ipswich. Both went for that ball, and well, Cato's in a bit of pain there. In fact, I think they're both lucky that wasn't an awful lot worse. No malice meant by either of them, but when two players go for a loose ball like that, thankfully, all is well. From an Ipswich Town perspective, all is very well as that clock ticks ever closer towards half-time. Into the final minutes of regulation time. Hughes finds Thomas, who turns, but in the end Palace have it back with Cato. Napier to Everett. Dean almost won it off of Everett. The Palace defender was strong in the challenge, and the visitors hold on to it. expecting 4 minutes of added time. So time yet for Palace to level before the break. Blanchard. 4 minutes added time confirmed. And Yanez just manages to get that clearance away. So two number threes come together, Napier and Hughes. Wearing back to Negri. Drops to Pescott. Now with Nolan. Finds Blanchard. He's put under pressure in the middle of the park by Deere. But Blanchard turns well and found Napier. And it will be a Palace throw. Napier to take it. Napier plays the 1-2 with Hughes. Rowe gets there though. And it'll be an Ipswich goal kick. So Napier unable to force a corner. One of the 4 added minutes already played. Negri ekes away a few more precious seconds. Napier gets too much pace on the pass. And there's another opportunity to eat up some valuable time for Ipswich. Negri's clearance goes to Napier, but Boswell cuts out her attempted through ball. Deere with the header. Deere tries to whisk it through to Rihanna Dean. Van Havermark got there and sent it back to Yanez. Deere can't quite pick out Thomas. Everett with the throw for Palace. Headed straight back out of play for another Palace throw. Goes out of play for an Ipswich throw into the final of the 4 added minutes. Hughes with the throw for Ipswich, headed on by Thomas towards Pescott. Pescott wins the throw. Ipswich just looking now surely to hold it in this corner. Well, in fact, Thomas's header goes towards Nolan. Hughes with the throw. Thomas flicks it on. It's with Pescott. Can they double the advantage just before the break? Well, it trundled away from Pescott before she could bring it under control. And Amy Fern blows the half-time whistle. What a half for Ipswich Town. 45 minutes away perhaps from only their second ever win at Tier 2 level, thanks to Sophie Pescott's goal midway through the first half. Palace, the pressure grows ever more on manager Joe Potter, because they just don't seem to be able to win this run to an end. They've got so much work to do in the second half. Have the side who were in the WSL, the top flight this time last season, They're now struggling right down at the bottom of WSL 2. Ipswich has seen Stan moving level on points with them at the foot of the table. Half-time at the JobServe Community Stadium. Ipswich Town 1, Crystal Palace 0. Four shots apiece, one on target for Ipswich, the one that sees them lead this game. And it has been quite a feisty battle in the middle of the park. Tackles 1-7 Ipswich, 6 by Palace. Passing accuracy 76% for Palace. They have had the more of the ball, but they trail 1-0 at the break. Referee Amy Fern heads back towards the centre spot with the ball. Well, Crystal Palace have made a change at the break, which needs to be formalised here, of course, with Abby Larkin coming on for Sinead Hopcroft. So that is an attacking change made by Jo Potter. Abby Larkin, who scored the goal in the last international break that helped send Republic of Ireland back to the top tier of the Nations League in that playoff against her teammate Justin van Havermaet's Belgium. So Abby Larkin, she can certainly hit them, as we've seen this season. A couple of long-range stunners, and Palace need her potency because they are having to chase down an Ipswich lead. So Palace have already made 2 of their 5 permitted changes, 1 enforced when Alison Swaby had to go off injured after 20 minutes and Justin van Havermaet came on, and 1 at the break with Abby Larkin on for Hopcroft. Ipswich with an early chance. Pesquet got under it, pulled the trigger, pulled it over the bar. Early opening for Ipswich. Sophie Pesquet, the goal, with the goal which separates the teams this afternoon, but not on target on that occasion. Long-time servants of Ipswich Town. Havermaet taps it out of play. Ipswich throw. Neville to take. Back with Neville. Vierden gets the block in. Neville to Pesquet. Carso gets herself between Pesquet and the ball. Inez gets it away. Ipswich win it straight back with Rowe. Van Havermaet to Blanchard, lays it off to Nolan, who's on the ball here. Nolan back inside to Blanchard. Lovely layoff by her to Carto. Good flowing move this as Carto brings in Napier. Napier to Blanchard as she fires it just beyond that top corner. Well, she too can hit them. Palace have got a fair few players who can from distance, but she didn't manage to keep that one on target. Anna Blanchard, just for a moment, it looked like it might be drifting in to the right side of the post from a Palace perspective, but it was wide of the target. And Deere has come clattering over the top of Blanchard and gives away the free kick. which has asked quite a bit of Nolan, who does get there ahead of Dean. And Havermat surges down the left-hand flank, but her pass was never going to make life easy for Veerden, who's done really well, but at the expense, in fact, has done well unjustly, says referee Amy Fern, because she did lay her hands on her opponents to get past her, and free kick the correct decision from referee Amy Fern. Negri sends it towards the halfway line. Mitchell towards Dean. Van Havermat wins the header, drops to Verdine, but springs off her midriff and out for a Ipswich throw. Neville takes. Thomas with the second header into the path of Pescott. Deer. Pescott with the layoff to Rowe. Thomas lays it back to Deer. She picks out Neville. Deer's clearance caught Blanchard in the face, so referee has to stop play. And Amy Fern comes across to check on Annabelle Blanchard. And she's going to be okay. Play resumes with a drop ball to Mitchell. And it's off Blanchard and out for a Ipswich throw. Cato sends it straight out of play for another Town throw-in. 5 minutes played at the start of this second half. Pescott tries to wriggle away from Carter and Blanchard, but Palace win it back with Blanchard. She steams through the middle, but straight into Rowe. Free kick given, though, in favour of Palace. For the earlier offside, and Nolan lays it back to Yanez. Nolan and Dean having a little bit of a tussle out on this near flank. Dean, of course, on a booking. Booked for the second of two late challenges on Blanchard in the first half. Jamie Lee Napier of Palace also on a yellow card. Here's Hughes for Palace. Lovely little layoff and through to Veerden. Veerden, can she get the shot away? Good block from Negri. Hughes heads it back into the danger zone to Blanchard. Wide once more. And Negri's hurt. She was brave in that challenge, Natalia Negri. Blanchard with two efforts in quick succession, which have been wide of the target. Oh, it was a lovely layoff into the path of Veerden, and Negri had to be so quick to snuff out the danger. It eventually came back to this woman, Annabelle Blanchard. She's just being checked, says Natalia Negri. Leaving no stone unturned, the medical staff. Came through Arsenal's youth system, did Negri. Also had time on loan at Charlton. Then part of Crystal Palace's promotion squad in that 2023-24 season. Would also be eligible to play for Italy or Spain with Natalia Negri. But England under-23 international, formerly an under-19 international for England. Man in the hat there is Megan Waring's dad. He's probably getting sick of us mentioning that every week, but we can't fail to, for his support and his drumming skills. Megan Waring, the Ipswich centre-back, playing ahead of this woman, Natalia Negri, in a defence which is usually pretty regular. The players that Joe Sheehan names. Natalia Negri communicating well with the players in front of her this afternoon. As I said, they've had a really tough few weeks, Ipswich. 15 goals conceded in the last 3 games. 2 games when they shipped 4. 4-0 to Birmingham, 4-1 to Newcastle, then that 7-0 defeat at Bristol last weekend, but so much better this afternoon. Palace haven't really created enough. They created an awful lot last weekend on their home patch against Sheffield United. They were very unlucky to lose that game 2-1. They haven't done enough in an attacking sense this afternoon. Napier with the throw-in for Palace. And there's not going to be too many, you imagine, clear-cut chances. Palace are going to have to take one. Almost finds its way through to Veerdin again. Howard claims handball. Nothing given. It was a hopeful plea. Napier into the area, flicks up off of Hughes and out for a Palace corner. Jamie Lee Napier, Chelsea youth, or at Chelsea when she was a younger player. Played for Scotland too. There's Napier. Here's Veerdin, the Dutch international. And she set up an equaliser to lift some of the pressure on Palace boss Joe Potter, and it comes from Veerdin. There can't be another manager in WSL2 under as much pressure as Joe Potter. Yes, it is Joe Sheehan's Ipswich who are going to stay bottom even if they win this on goal difference, but less was expected of Ipswich, having come up from the Women's National League Southern Premier. So much expected of Palace, having dropped down from the WSL. They're expected to be among the front runners, especially this season with 2 going up automatically. The chance of a 3rd going up, they'll have to play off, of course, against the team that finishes bottom of the WSL. And you would have thought that Palace would be among that promotion race. But they're right down the other end, and if they lose here to Ipswich, the bottom club, well, that will be another real hammer blow for the South Londoners. Cato. Back to Cato. She lays it across to Nolan. Nolan propels forward and finds Veerdin. I feel like if there is going to be an outlet this afternoon, it will be Veerdin. Seems to be able to find those pockets of space on the left, and space here for the cross in, and it's headed off the bar. Almost dropped to Hughes. Napier it was with the header. So close to a Crystal Palace equaliser. Will that fire Crystal Palace into life? Veerdin with the cross. Napier did so well to climb tower into the air and crash it back down off the bar. And Hughes couldn't get to the loose ball. Veerdin with the corner, hangs it right up in the centre of the 6-yard box. Van Havermaet with the header over the crossbar. Claims another corner. Just a little bit better for Crystal Palace over these last few moments as we near the hour mark. Just that 1 clean sheet in all competitions for Ipswich so far this season. 10 games played in all competitions, 8 in the league, 2 in the League Cup. They've let in at least 4 in half of their 8 league games played so far. Blanchard tries to get it through the middle. They also let in 3 to Palace in the League Cup. They let in 5 in the League Cup to Leicester, albeit a WSL side. Long range shots, which Negri watches go well wide of her left hand upright. Larkin, as I mentioned when she came on at half time, does have a sweet shot on her. That one had the power, didn't have the accuracy. Negri's goal kick goes straight out of play for a Palace throw. Dear for Ipswich. Tries to set up Dean, but it goes all the way through to Yanez. Nolan back to Yanez. Cato's pass was short of Blanchard, but does find its way to its intended target eventually, and Blanchard does really well to hurdle the late challenge from Deer. Still Annabelle Blanchard. Can she get the shot away? She's crowded out at the last moment. Veerden with a shot beyond and off the bottom of the bar into the back of the net. Ashley Veerden, she's been the danger woman all afternoon. And she did so well to make the most of the opportunity. Blanchard can take real credit too for forging the opportunity. And Veerden crashes it in off the underside of the bar. Palace on level terms. Goal that came from nowhere. Ipswich were just beginning to settle, just find their rhythm with their narrow lead. But Palace bring themselves back on level terms, and there's a long way to go. Half an hour plus added time still to play. Veerden's second WSL2 goal of the season. She was also on target in that incredible 4-4 draw with Southampton. Palace on the charge once more with Napier. Hughes has got space, so has Verdine. Couldn't pick either of them out. And it's safely into the hands of Negri. Napier a little frustrated with herself. Blanchard inside to Verdine. They seem to have found another gear, do Palace, since forcing that equaliser. Goes all the way through to Negri. Pescott surges away from Everett, turns her really well, gets the shot away, it's straight at Yanez. Sophie Pescott's goal in the 22nd minute had Ipswich leading for the best part of 40 minutes of playing time, but the game right in the balance again now. As things stand, Palace staying a minimum 3 points clear of Ipswich, but Thomas turns the full 360 and gets the shot away. Inez strong with both palms to turn it behind to the corner, but Natasha Thomas did really well here. Inez stood up tall and strong. Rowe to take the Ipswich corner. Three minutes after Palace edged themselves level. Can Ipswich get themselves in front for the second time this afternoon? Rowe with the low ball towards the penalty spot. Comes to nothing for the hosts. Will she get a second chance to get the cross in? She does. Sends it in high this time, but into the hands of Yanez. He's not happy with her clearance. Dear. Back to Negri. Waring got the tackle in, but here's Blanchard. Blanchard with the low shot, which she never managed to connect with properly. Scuffs it across the turf and it trickles wide. But she played a real key role in that Crystal Palace equaliser. So strong as she surged down the centre of the park, and it eventually came through to Veerden with the help of Kirsty Howard. Veerden smashed it in off the underside of the bar. Ipswich with an opportunity here through Dean. Lays it off to Pescott, but she can't find a way through, and it's with Yanez. Rowe wins the header, but it goes straight to Carto. Veerden, the goal scorer, with the layoff to Larkin. Larkin returns it to the Dutchwoman. She takes on Mitchell, plays it back inside to Larkin with the shots. Oh, not far away. In fact, Negri got a touch to it. Fine save from the Ipswich goalkeeper. Fine shot from Abby Larkin. That is where she's at her most dangerous, when Larkin is lurking just outside the penalty area. So often it ends in a shot like that, and sometimes you're not surprised to see the ball nestling in the back of the net. Not on that occasion, thanks to a fine fingertip save from Negri. Larkin being told that part of the ball has to at least overhang the white line of the corner quadrant, so she had to move it back a tad there. Now for the Palace corner. It goes all the way through, and Ipswich clear and look to counter. Palace coming straight back at them though with Larkin. Larkin with a lovely teasing ball into the area, which Van Havermaet got on the end of, but couldn't get the ball on target. Megan Waring and her defensive colleagues at Ipswich are surely going to be tested over this final quarter of the match. That dream of a second clean sheet of the season has gone, extinguished by that fine finish from Veerden. But how precious a point might be, and Ipswich too will be hoping there will be an opportunity to turn a point into 3 if they can force themselves ahead for the second time this afternoon. Rowe with the throw. Pescott really well to turn and shot and zips across goal and wide. Good work once more from Sophie Pescott. Fended off the double challenge, turned and then arrowed it goalwards. Sent Yanez sprawling across her goal mouth, but the shot was wide of the target. Hughes. Really strong run forward from Summer Hughes. Still Hughes. Where's this come from? Oh my word. Checked at the last by Everett. And now she's well out of position is Summer Hughes, the Ipswich left back. Mitchell wins it back off Larkin though and buys her teammate time as Hughes sprints back into position. Napier with the Crystal Palace throw. Back with Napier. She asks a fair bit of Carto, who gets there and sends it back to Nolan. Returns it to the Swede, Van Havermaet. Thought about switching it to the right, sends it back to Nolan on the left. Nolan scampers forward. The short layoff to Veerden, the goal scorer. Veerden inside to Hughes. Lovely bit of Palace possession here, pinging the passes around. Nolan. Hughes. Larkin. Of course, it's back to League Cup action next weekend. Then it's the international break. So it would do Palace, well, do both teams a power of good if they could go into the break from league action on the back of a win. Still plenty of time for either team to find a winner. Nolan. Nolan's got room for the shot, gets the shot away, but it's blocked instantly. Veerden. Blanchard. Still Blanchard. Oh, lovely ball through the legs. Hughes with the layoff. Palace just finding an extra gear here. Drops to Veerden. Lovely footwork from Veerden as she got the shot away somehow, but it's over the bar and behind for an Ipswich goal kick. She's been Palace's best performer this afternoon, goal scorer too. A 26-year-old Dutch woman, title winner in her homeland. Always a joy to watch since she arrived in English football. Negri's down for a second time. Joe Potter on the left of the screen as we look at it. In conversation with her coaching staff. Bit of cramp for Negri. Joe Sheehan in the baseball cap, the Ipswich boss. every point's going to count in Ipswich's desperate bid to try and stay in the division. They've collected 4 so far from the 32 available. Goalless draw away at Charlton, a 3-2 win here against Portsmouth. But defeats in the other 6 games. Jo Potter, the Palace manager, took over this summer. She too has only seen her team win 1 of their opening 8. 2-1 win away to Nottingham Forest on match day 3. A late winner here would really lift the South London gloom for the visitors. The pressure more on them. Ipswich spoke very positively at the start of the season that they didn't want this to just be a case of trying to preserve their status, that they were looking to finish as high up the table as possible. But I think everyone realistically knew it was going to be a real tough ask for them. They're still in contention. They've not been cut adrift. And if they can get something out of this game, it keeps them in contention. They take heart too, I'm sure, Ipswich, from what Portsmouth did last season. They looked like they were goners as late as March, did Portsmouth. But they've pulled off that late great escape. Palace on the charge here. Once more, the final ball not good enough. 2 or 3 yards ahead of Hughes. Counter argument, of course, is that Hughes perhaps should have been 2 or 3 yards ahead of where she was, albeit, of course, having to stay on side. But just sometimes Palace a little ponderous in their attack. They looked far more potent last week, although they only got the 1 goal. They looked like a more dangerous attacking force, admittedly on their home patch too last weekend, in that 2-1 defeat to Sheffield United. Nolan, the ball forward to Hughes. Hughes is crowded out, Neville gets it away. Carto to Napier. All the way through to Negri. They have had 18 shots this afternoon, Crystal Palace, to Ipswich's 8. But both teams with just a 3 on target. Both teams with just a 1 ending up in the back of the net. And that's why we are poised at 1-1 with just less than a quarter hour plus added time to play. Ipswich win it back in the centre of the park. Dear to Dean. Dean tries to roll it through to Thomas, but asks way too much of her, and Nolan can send it back to Yanez. Well, Nolan just seemed to pull up there herself, perhaps with a bit of cramp. She's just trying to walk off whatever that was. Moving more comfortably now. Blanchard to Hughes. I think Nolan is saying she needs to come off. She's signalling to the Palace bench. Ball through the middle to Howard. Howard takes it beyond Negri, who's out of a goal mouth. Howard can't quite pick out Larkin. And Negri's got back between the sticks to the relief of Ipswich and their fans. Blanchard dinks it over the top to Howard. She can't, though, find Napier. Hughes goes on another of those flying runs down the left, but she's cut out this time by Everett, who does manage to keep the ball in play. Blanchard's got space now, and you don't want to give Annabelle Blanchard space. Lovely little layoff to Hughes. Hughes comes back inside, but Ipswich get bodies back. Nolan with the throw, and she just talks once more to the manager. It looks like she's continuing, at least for now. Blanchard inside to Hughes. Dean with the chips effort into the hopes for path of Pescott, but it was way ahead of her teammate, who was never going to be able to get there. Free kick to Palace. The foul on Carto. We've got a very interesting final 10 minutes ahead here. Game so well poised. Well, for Ipswich, Rihanna Dean is going to be replaced by Shauna Guyot, herself a former Palace player. Rihanna Dean, another busy and industrious afternoon for her. Shauna Guyot comes on for the final 12, and Crystal Palace too. As off comes Napier, and India Paige Riley has been called up once more for New Zealand this week. She'll be heading off at the end of the month. Long flight for 2 games away to Australia. So Joe Potter hoping that India Paige Riley might just be the forward who can bring her a last gasp winner in this final 10 in Colchester. Here's Larkin. Still Larkin. Scuffs the shot. It's harmlessly out of play. Shauna Guyot, who's on the ball there, just come on. She too was part of the youth setup at Chelsea. Still herself only 20. Was with Crystal Palace before joining Ipswich back in 2024. Part of the promotion, Ipswich promotion squad last season was Shauna Guyot. Jenna is fouled by Larkin. Maria Boswell waving her teammates forward. They're going to go for it in this final 10, it would appear. Seek the winner. I'm sure Palace are too. That's straight out of play. Wasted opportunity for Ipswich. Palace goal kick. Everett just gets it back to Yanez. She rolls it out to Van Havenant. Now with Nolan. Nolan gets it through the legs of Neville, but Ipswich win it back unfairly. The foul on Larkin, says referee Amy Fern. Pushing the back of Larkin. Free kick had to be given. Nolan brings it forward for Palace. Larkin moves away from Mitchell, takes a shot on, it's still off the post. Abby Larkin has struck a late winner for Crystal Palace. So often the player who can carry the danger to any opponent in the late stages of a game. Abby Larkin once more. Fine shot from Larkin. Struck the inside of that post. And Crystal Palace have turned the game on its head. As the Palace fans sing her name, the smile breaks out. That could be an oh so vital goal. The Palace and their manager Joe Potter, who's been under an increasing amount of pressure, but might just now see her team pick up their second win of the season, heading into the break from league football until early December. Blanchard. Larkin's third league goal of the campaign. She strikes them with such venom. There was little she could do about it. It was struck with such pinpoint accuracy. Thomas fires it over. But it feels somewhat cruel on Ipswich. Are they going to be left nursing another defeat? There's certainly been far more positives for them this afternoon than in many of the games in recent weeks. Came into this one off the back of a 7-0 defeat at Bristol City, 4-1 here at home to Newcastle the week before that. And the league fixture prior to that ended in a 4-0 home defeat to Birmingham. They've really been under the cosh. But this afternoon, they're behind for the very first time on level terms, or ahead for 83 minutes of this match they were. But if Palace struck the crucial blow at the last. Nolan. Throw into Ipswich. Vierden calls for a free kick, nothing given. Neville with the throw, headed back by Vierden. Larkin over the top. Neville is waved back by Amy Fern a few yards. Takes the throw, flicked on by Thomas. Van Havermaet wins the header for Palace, straight back out of play for another Ipswich throw. Paige Peake and Lucy O'Brien set to enter the fray for the final minutes. Paige Peake scored a sumptuous free kick in that League Cup match away to Crystal Palace a month ago to bring Ipswich level at 2-2 on the day. They did go on to lose 3-2 though, but now Ipswich would love to see her do the same this afternoon. An equaliser to make it 2-2 is possible. So Lucy O'Brien on for Natasha Thomas. And Paige Peake returning to the club where it all started this summer after 2 years at Southampton. She will replace captain Maria Boswell. in the heart of defence. So Bethan Rowe takes the armband for the final few minutes. Throw into Ipswich, time against them now. If they're going to avoid yet another defeat in their new environs of WSL 2. O'Brien, with her first touch, tries to pick out Guyat. Waring. Peak, the substitute who's just come on. Mitchell. Mitchell sends it over the top to Guyat. Guyat keeps it in. Deep cross, hangs it up towards the far post, and the shot is a comfortable one for Yanez. From Summer Hughes. Did really well to find the position. Driving into space. Just didn't quite connect. Well, connected well, in fact, but just didn't get it far enough away from the keeper on either side of Yanez. Straight into a midriff. Into the final minute of the 90. It's going to be a fair bit of added time. Expecting around 6 minutes. So time yet for Ipswich to salvage something on this afternoon, which offered so much promise for so long. But Palace looking to kill it off. Larkin again from distance, crushes it against the bar. Oh my word. That was so close to a sensational second Larkin goal of the afternoon. The first one wasn't bad either. This one would have topped it. What a run, what a shot. Smashes off the bar. Veerden couldn't quite get there for the rebound. 6 minutes of added time confirmed. At the moment though, it's looking like Palace are most likely to score. Veerden's throw is wayward though and might just give Ipswich a chance to break. No, Palace win it straight back with Everett. Still Amy Everett. Sends it through to Hughes. Hughes is charged down by Mitchell. Neville. Clearance is cut out. Drops to Veerden. Lovely turn by her and she wins a precious free kick for Crystal Palace. Down on her haunches, and Amy Fern offering to help her up. What a part she's played this afternoon, Ashley Veerden. The equaliser hit hard and true off the bar. Which brought her side level on the hour mark, and they've since gone on to take the lead. Larkin also, with the aid of the woodwork, the post on this occasion in the 83rd minute, and just moments ago denied by the woodwork. Larkin. Veerden. Back to Larkin. Larkin's cross goes all the way through to Negri. Riley. Still Riley. She's forced out wide by Waring and by Peskett. And Ipswich win the throw. 2 of the 6 added minutes already played. Waring with the throw. Palace win it back tenaciously and look to hold it in the corner. And they do hold it in the corner. They edge ever closer to just their second league win of the season. But ultimately, it's gone behind. And it is it's a free kick in fact. 3 minutes of added time to play. It's off the head of Riley and out for an Ipswich throw. Hughes looks for her options. Palace win it straight back with Larkin. The woman whose goal looks like it's going to win the 3 points for Palace on the afternoon and will put clear daylight between themselves and Ipswich. Will move them into the midst of lower mid-table, but there's an opportunity here late on for Pescott. She was crowded out by the Palace players. There was a half-hearted appeal to the referee, but it always seemed unlikely. It looked like a fair challenge. Palace victory would lift them 6 points clear of Ipswich, who will remain bottom. Ipswich's best case scenario this afternoon was the win that would have moved them level on 7 points with Palace. It would have still been bottom on goal difference, but now the table looking very different after Palace turned this game around. Ipswich are now in real danger of being cut adrift. If results stay the same everywhere they are, then they're going to be finishing this game 5 points adrift in that relegation spot. The vast swathes of this afternoon, this match promised so much for them. Can they yet salvage something? Negri fires it forward. Palace have everyone back, and Carso surges clear and finds Larkin, and Blanchard's got acres of space in the middle, but she's not picked out. And Palace aren't able to get the goal, which would have made absolutely sure of it. There's just a few seconds left. There might just be time for Ipswich to force one more chance. Palace doing everything to prevent that becoming a possibility. There's an offside flag up. There's one more chance for Ipswich to pile everybody forward. There's going to be a change for Palace. Isabella Sibley. Whether she'll even have time to touch the ball, I'm not entirely sure. But she will replace Ashley Veerden, who's had another fine afternoon in the Crystal Palace shirt. The goal which brought Palace level on the hour mark, it was so well taken, and she's offered so much down that left flank. Negri sends it forward. Ipswich have everyone forward. Negri with the up and under. This is it for Ipswich. Last chance saloon. Pescott does well to keep a hold of it. Tries to wriggle away into the area, still not giving up. Palace get it out of play. Neville will look to hurl it in, but Chazal made a complete mess of it. And the final whistle goes. And what a result for Crystal Palace. A much needed win to ease some of the pressure on new manager Joe Potter. Just a second win of the season for the South Londoners, who dropped down from WSL at the end of last season and were looking ever increasingly likely to get themselves wrapped up in a second consecutive relegation fight. They've done so much this afternoon to ease those fears which deepen ever more for Ipswich, left now rock bottom of WSL2 with just 4 points. For so long this afternoon, it looked like they'd get something from this game. They took the lead, a well-deserved lead, midway through the first half. They were ahead until the hour mark when Ashley Veerden struck off the underside of the bar And then with just 7 minutes to play, that woman there, Abby Larkin, with a fine winner from distance, in off the post to turn the game on its head. And the Eagles fly back to South London with 3 points on the board. A crucial second win that lifts them to 10 points for the season and to the relative apparent safety of mid-table for Ipswich. And Sophie Pescott, whose well-taken goal saw them leading for 40 minutes of playing time in this game. It's another disappointing result, a performance which offered so much more than we've seen in recent weeks. And there will be positives for Sophie Pescott, her manager Joe Sheehan, and all the Ipswich players and fans to take from a much better performance. But it's looking like a long, long road ahead in WSL 2 for Ipswich Town. This was the tail of the tape this afternoon. 21 shots again from Crystal Palace. They had so many last week and lost 2-1. This time, at least for them, they have won 2-1. It was a feisty affair in the middle of the park. 16 tackles won by Palace, 12 by Ipswich, 9 interceptions apiece. Passing accuracy decent for Palace, 77%. Room for improvement for Ipswich on 54%. And there was a yellow card apiece. Rhiannon Dean, midway through the first half for Ipswich. Jamie Lee Napier going into the book for Crystal Palace. But of course, the only stat that matters, that one in big bold numbers at the top of the screen. Ipswich Town 1, Crystal Palace 2. Elsewhere in WSL 2, the earlier games finished Southampton 1, Durham 1, Sheffield United 0, Nottingham Forest 0, and then in the 2 o'clock kickoffs, Birmingham leading 5-2 at home to Portsmouth in the late stages there. Charlton going strong in the promotion push, 2-0 winners against Bristol City, another team right up there. Ipswich losing 2-1 here to Crystal Palace, and the Tyne Wear derby ended in a 3-1 win for Newcastle United against Sunderland. As the players go through their respective warm downs, many of the Ipswich fans have stayed on to offer their support to the players who've given their all this afternoon, but for whom it's not gone their way once more. Next up, League Cup football next weekend. Crystal Palace will be away to WSL side Leicester. Ipswich at home to the WSL side 2 London City Lionesses in the same group. And it is looking very much like it's going to be Leicester that are going to take the top spot and the quarter-final qualification spot in that group. They lead the way with a superior goal difference. Just the group winners going through from the 5 groups to join those teams who were given a bye because of their Champions League involvement to the quarter-final stage. This is how WSL 2 is looking. Ipswich now 5 points adrift of Portsmouth and Sunderland, and Durham 2, their nearest rivals. Crystal Palace, it looks so much healthier for them now. They started this game on 7 points. At one point in this game, Ipswich were level with Palace on 7 points. But Palace turned it around, and they are now in that lower mid-table position, but they will feel like they have a bit of breathing space now. 5 points would be a lot for Ipswich to make up. Not impossible, but they put daylight between them, they put teams between themselves, and Ipswich have Crystal Palace. Fine afternoon's work for Joe Potter's Eagles, and my, they needed it, didn't they? Came into this one on the back of 2 defeats on the spin, having won just one of their opening 8 league games, and the pressure was really beginning to grow on Joe Potter. She won't be out of the woods just yet, but there will be plenty of cheer on the journey back to the capital for the Palace players, their manager, and for the fans who made the trip. Palace's South East London neighbours, Charlton, going strong at the top of the table, 4 points ahead now of Birmingham. Bristol City now 7 points adrift of Charlton. Top 2 to go up. Third place will get a playoff against the team that finishes bottom of the WSL. And just the bottom team to go down. Ipswich Town occupy that bottom spot. With 9 games played. Next up, after those League Cup ties and after the international break, Durham and Sunderland, 2 trips to the northeast for Ipswich. Durham away on the 7th of December, Sunderland on the 21st. There's going to be a lot of hard work left for Ipswich this season. There will be some positives they can take from this afternoon, but it has ended in defeat for them once more. Thank you for joining us for an entertaining match here at the JobServe Community Stadium, where it has finished Ipswich Town 1, Crystal Palace 2.